At this time, I'm going to give the mic to a hometown friend of mine that grew up here in Ranger with me since we were little kids, the commander of Chapter 41 to Disabled American Veterans from Wichita Falls, Texas, Mr. Joel Jimenez.
Well, Larry, every time you've done that, it was always Jimenez. You remember? You remember how it was way back here at hometown. But anyway, I want to, thank everybody today, and especially I want to mention my friend Jeff Milligan. Now, Jeff Milligan is the director of the Dallas, what we call the Dallas VA in Dallas, Texas, VA Health Medical Center. And when I went to Jeff's office, I told him, I said, Jeff, I need some help. And being from Wichita Falls, from a different jurisdiction, he says, when you step in my office, there's no zip codes and there's no boundaries. I'm here to help you. And he asked me what kind of help, and I did receive the help and so forth. And at this time, when I called him up again, I said, I need a little more help, Jeff. And he said, what do you need? And I said, I need, some men down here to show the rural area veterans. Rural area, I mean, that's country. To show them how much we care for them. And so he said, I got the men. So at this time, I want to introduce one of my friends and the keynote speaker, a two-tour Vietnam veteran, retired Army Lieutenant Colonel, Mr. Jim Wheeler.
Well, I was country before country was cool, back home in Tennessee, I assure you. Well, good morning to all of you, and before I get into specifically to Mrs. Rogers and family, I just want to thank the Lord above for this day that He has provided us. Thank the Patriot Guards for climbing on those cycles. I have one in my stall at home. And all that are here today, both Vietnam veterans, and just friends, neighbors, and family of you, Mrs. Rogers. As a Vietnam veteran, Mrs. Rogers, I want you to know that I am kind of overwhelmed to be standing before you and your family today. I know you've got daughter, Larry's sister Carla there. You've also got, of course, Mr. Horton, your current husband, and that mom's caretaker is Catherine Parker. So I want to recognize those as well before we get a little bit more formal. But I thank you so much for this opportunity. But as I said earlier, this is a day the Lord has made, and let us rejoice and give thanks to the life and the memory of Larry Joe Rogers. I am told that the Vietnam Wall is the most visited war memorial in our nation's capital. 3 million visitors per year pass by panel 45E, line 14, and get to note Private First Class Larry Joe Rogers. D Company, 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, 1st Marine Division, who on March the 17th of 1968 proved to be a hero in combat as he paid the ultimate price serving his country in time of war in Quang Nam Province, Vietnam. Now, I don't use the term hero lightly, as Larry Joe was awarded our nation's third highest award for valor, the Silver Star Medal. And I want at this time to read and revisit the citation that goes with his award of the Silver Star. The orders come from the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Pacific Fleet. And it reads, the President of the United States takes pride in presenting the Silver Star Medal posthumously to Private First Class Larry J. Rogers, United States Marine Corps, for service as set forth in the following citation. For conspicuous gallantry and integrity in action while serving as a rifleman with Company D, 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, 1st Marine Division, in connection with operations against the enemy in the Republic of Vietnam. On the afternoon of 17 March 1968, during Operation Worth, Private First Class Rogers' company was assaulting a large, well-entrenched North Vietnamese Army force. As the Marines maneuvered forward, they began receiving intense automatic weapons, mortar, and anti-tank rocket fire. In the initial burst of fire, all members of the lead squad's machine gun team was wounded. Disregarding his own safety, Private First Class Rogers seized the weapon and immediately began delivering a heavy volume of machine gun fire against the enemy positions, which enabled his unit to maneuver to covered positions. Ignoring the hostile fire impacting all around him, he resolutely remained in his dangerously exposed position and continued firing the weapon for 10 minutes until he was mortally wounded by enemy automatic weapons fire. By his courage, aggressive fighting spirit, and steadfast devotion to duty, Private First Class Rogers upheld the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. Signed for the President, John J. Hyland, Admiral, U.S. Navy, Commander-in-Chief, U.S. Pacific Fleet. God bless you again, Mrs. Rogers. Now, in this year, when our nation commemorates the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War, and I know I've said it earlier, but I am humbled again to be standing before you on this glorious day and celebrating the heroics of your son, Larry. And what I want to do in concert with the actual 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War, and I would ask Vietnam veterans to raise your hand or stand. I'd like to see who here is a Vietnam veteran. Welcome home. Thank you. The official proclamation reads, and this is more for you, Mrs. Rogers. We all here, but this is for you, my lady. As we observe the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War, we reflect with solemn reverence upon the valor of a generation that served with honor. We pay tribute to the more than 3 million servicemen and women who left their families to serve bravely, a world away from everything they knew and everyone they loved. From Ia Drang to Khe Sanh, from Hue to Saigon, and countless villages in between, they pushed through jungles and rice paddies, heat and monsoon, fighting heroically to protect the ideals we hold dear as Americans. Through more than a decade of combat over air, land, and sea, these proud Americans upheld the highest traditions of the armed forces. As a grateful nation, we honor more than 50,000 patriots, their names etched in black granite, who sacrificed all they had and all they would ever know. In the reflection of the wall, we see military family members and veterans who carry a pain that may never fade. May they find peace in knowing that loved ones endure, not only in medals and memories, but in the hearts of all Americans who are forever grateful for their service, valor, and sacrifice. In recognition of a chapter in our nation's history, they must never be forgotten. Let us renew our sacred commitment to those who answered our country's call in Vietnam and those who awaited their safe return. Throughout this commemoration, let us strive to live up to their example by showing our Vietnam veterans, their families, and all who have served the fullest respect and support of a grateful nation. Signed, Barack Obama, President of the United States. Again, Mrs. Rogers, I am grateful for this wonderful privilege. God bless you and your family. God bless Texas, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you so much.